Netflix, Amazon Prime, and some more OTT platforms are all libraries of brilliant, interesting, and mind bending documentaries. They cover a wide range of issues, including current affairs, criminal investigation, sports, and musical performances. Some filmmakers, on the other hand, are daring enough to make documentaries about very sensitive themes that are told in a way that is in opposition to those in authority. These documentaries are frequently censored as well. That should not prevent you from watching them, as they are usually fantastic and, well, greatly broaden your horizon. Here are 5 controversial documentaries to watch on OTT platforms. Number 1. India's Daughter. India's Daughter is a documentary movie directed by the famous director Leslie Udwin. This controversial BBC documentary is likely to be remembered by most Indians. The Nirbhaya gang rape, which occurred in Delhi in 2012, is the topic of this documentary. The documentary not only revealed the victim's true name and identity, but it also included interviews with not just the victim's parents and friends, but also her 5 assassins. The director's most contentious and captivating blow was a resolve to turn the camera on the convicted person, Mukesh Singh, who rests in his view that he did nothing wrong to that young girl. He said that the girl was far more responsible for her rape than a boy. He had added more that a girl should not roam around at night with a male friend who is not a family member. Furthermore, the defense lawyer was of the thought that the women are flowers, their purity and beauty should be kept protected. As a result, Udwin drew out a more positive logic, emphasizing the victim and the hostility in modern India. We can observe how deeply a lack of resources, education, and culture may influence the thinking of people who are rapists in these poor neighborhoods and slum areas. People like Jyoti, a bright, well-educated girl pursuing a medical degree who supported herself by working long hours at an international contact center. As a result, the lack of hierarchy of education and upbringing has a significant impact on human thought. Similarly, Badri and Asha, her modern-day parents, contribute to the film's most lethal scenes by remembering the daughter who was taken from them. According to several spokespersons, the documentary's sole purpose was to try to plot against India on a global scale. In an interview, our former Finance Minister Arun Jaitley was told that the BBC program is breaking both Indian and English law. The Indian authorities then removed the documentary from the BBC Indian website as well as from YouTube. It's still on Vimeo, but you will need to be a member to watch it. This will be the most impactful of all the controversial documentaries available online. Number 2. The Act of Killing. The Act of Killing is a documentary directed by Joshua Oppenheimer about the massacre of thousands of Indonesian communists by government-sponsored paramilitary troops and criminals in 1965-66. In Indonesia, where the powerful military and other factions in the country's elite were implicated in the bloodshed and defend their actions as preserving the country from an oncoming communist takeover, the mass killings remain a highly sensitive matter. Even the country's independent National Commission on Human Rights has struggled to gain traction in its efforts to hold the government accountable. Mr. Joshua was so concerned that the documentary would be prohibited by the government censors that he did not attempt to get it shown in theaters. He has taken solace from the fact that the film was downloaded more than 30,000 times from YouTube in the first week it was available. With the majority of the downloads coming from Indonesia, the contentious aspect of this story is that the filmmaker Joshua Oppenheimer conducted interviews for the film under the false pretense of making a film that honors their bravery. He even has some people who were involved in the killing reenact the crimes, and the documentary was heavily criticized for misinterpreting the worth of human life and violating their permission as a result of this perspective. Number 3. Nanuk of the North. Nanuk of the North, directed by Robert Flaherty, a genre-defining silent film, is a portrayal of the Inuit way of life in Canadian Arctic, as well as the celebration of love, tradition, and survival in harsh environments. Nanuk and his family are difficult not to be charmed by, and Flaherty lovingly shows their bond. However, the film's ruin is due to this display. Flaherty notoriously manufactured a number of Inuit customs, including many that were antiquated and no longer vital for their survival, while deceptively presenting them as genuine in order to capture the scenes he desired. Flaherty shot inside the family's igloo with one wall removed for more light and camera room, putting production needs ahead of realism. It was deemed innovative when it was released in 1922 and is today regarded as very controversial owing to the fact that the majority of the picture is staged. It has been cast aside for its portrayal of the Inuit inhabitants of Canadian Arctic by the early 1920s. They had easy access to contemporary conveniences and technology, but the film portrays Nanuk making an igloo and hunting with an harpoon. His real name was Alkari Alak, but the filmmaker altered it for the sake of marketing. While there were realistic aspects to the film, the incompetence deceptions go some way to spoiling the enjoyment of this important documentary. Number 4. One Child Nation. This documentary, which is based on China's oppressive One Child One Nation policy directed by Nafu Wang, the documentary talks about how such an intrusive policy is imposed on a population as big as China's. More than simply savior policy, it also necessitated self-policing, particularly in rural areas far from more densely populated urban areas. As One Child One Nation demonstrates, the Chinese government saturated the country with propaganda aimed at persuading citizens to limit their family numbers and to inform their neighbors if they felt someone was breaking the laws. Along with forced abortions and sterilizations, the propaganda campaign ensured that the majority of the population would support the policy, considering it as a necessary and beneficial measure for their family's health and future. It looks at what life was like for two-child families and the atrocities that these policies caused for an entire generation of Chinese population. These films went on to receive a slew of awards, including an Oscar nomination. In China, however, not just the picture but also its director, Nafu Wang, were both banned. It was so severe that Nafu and her film was left off the Oscar nomination list when it was published in China. Give it a watch. Number 5. Fahrenheit 9/11. Michael Moore's film Fahrenheit 9/11 chronicled the events leading up to and following the terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon on September 11, 2001, and sparkled a fierce political discussion. The content of the 2004 documentary film Fahrenheit 9/11 sparkled debate before, during, and after its publication a few months before the presidential elections in the United States. Michael Moore directed the documentary, which condemns both the Bush administration's attempt to apprehend Osama bin Laden in the aftermath of the September 11 attacks and the Iraq War. Although film critics lauded Fahrenheit 9/11 and it won multiple accolades, Moore was accused by critics of taking events out of context, distorting them, and creating propaganda to smear President George W. Bush. Bush supporters and others condemned it for errors, a lack of context, and the fact that it was made available online for free download. A lot of controversy took place in context with the content of the documentary as well as the name of the documentary. Conservative organizations even attempted to have the video banned. Moore claimed that the Bush administration failed to do enough to prevent the attacks and apprehend the perpetrators. These are the 5 top controversial documentaries DocuTalk recommends you to watch. If you have any takeaways from seeing these documentaries, please share them in the comment section below. Remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share our videos. If you want to see more such videos, click on the subscribe button and do not forget to click on the bell icon. Thanks for watching.